Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Everyone. Good morning.
Sanji Judan Zoyin Chonun La Shenshi Bada Donan Gyausun Chen Dage Jinso Jibi Tsonun Yen Rola Banshi Sanjin Zhebe Sanji Judan Zoyin Chonun La Shenshi Bada Donan Gyausun Chen Dage Jinso Jibi Tsonun Yen Rola Banshi Sanjin Zhebe Sanji Chudan Soyin Chonama La Shanshi Bada Dana Gyausen Daga Janso Jivin Son Sanjin Drupara Kyo Simchen Tamche Diwa Nan Devi Gyudan Dambe Gyushi Dunga Dan Dunga Ji Gyudan Chava Gyushi Dunga Mebe Diwa Damba Dan Mandava Niran Chadan Nidan Chave Danyo Chenpo La Nive Gyu Chi Simchen Tamche Diwa Nan Devi Gyudan Dambe Gyushi Dunga Dan Dunga Ji Gyudan Chava Dunga Mebe Diwa Damba Dan Mandava Gyushi Niran Chadan Nidan Chave Danyo Chenpo La Nive Gyu Simchen Tamche Diwa Nan Devi Gyudan Dambe Gyushi Dunga Dan Dunga Ji Gyudan Chava Gyushi Dunga Mebe Diwa Damba Dan Mandava Nina Chadan Nidan Chave Danyo Chenpo La Nive Gyushi Kanshi Sin Choran Shin Ru La Ni Mandara Dan kiwa, nili kiwa, gyumeni kiwa, me se ka yung digo. Ta dali kiwa da, nili kiwa da, gyumeni kiwa se te so da me yo samar da se. Yena yang, jani kiwa se di yo mare se te nrikamandu se ni. Ta sur nyantu diwa tesu, tandri karte, tandri tokpa lang yung na se yaga, di tokpa yung. Oh, tendri ino di ta jani kiwa me se de kandiri kin se di kiwa nduwa se ya. Ta chwa ti sor le.
Ale di niente depe.
Nyantu dewa ta vi sor chwa.
And then the text continues after having negated the four ways of arising out of itself, from another, from both, or without a cause. Then Nāgārjuna goes on to refute, to negate arising out of the four conditions, because it could be that the adherents of the Shravakayana would say, okay, you have just negated those ways of arising, those four ways, yet there is arising out of another based on four conditions. So here now Nāgārjuna continues saying that that's also not acceptable. That's all?
Ta konsu kien je se chi yores. Kare se di kien nam se de gyodang na mukpa ta na tema ta se di gyi kien, mukpi kien, tema ta pi kien, dakpu kien se ni. Kien she tanda yongun dos. Tene kien nga wane yo mani se di ta nga su chi kasa chasan lag su res sewa tawa chi anshu takpali chong se te so da yo ma res kono su. Yena kien je se te yo ba chi kien je li ke wa chi yongun do wa se ni. Zo wa sang ji song rab te so la te yo res ni ta khon su tokpa te re.
Ani kare la wang chu ko
Te ten di na kien nga wa na yo ma se chin do wa. Nga wa chi yo ma se yo. Te konsusara tokpandani ko yona sanin gomala druk song yarta. Dendri ki tokpaji chi yona se gora ta tokpa ko yona se da maro. Dendri tokpaji chi yona senteni jeni lan nangare.
So therefore we see in verse 3 the opponent. There are four conditions: the primary cause, the objective support, the proximate condition, and of course the dominant condition. There is no fifth condition. Shravaka Yana adherents, they do believe that there is an arising out of these four conditions that are mentioned here. There is in the terms that I use for these four conditions, which are different than in the book, this book, Siddharits and Katsura. So they say that there is an arising out of four conditions, which are called the condition of the cause, the condition of the object, the primary condition, and the immediately preceding condition. They say that the Buddha has taught that there is an arising out of these four conditions, and then as the text says, they do not yet, though, believe that there is a fifth condition, that, for example, there is a omnipotent God, for example, who creates things. So that would be a fifth condition, and they say that is, well, in this we do not believe, yet in these four conditions we believe that there is arising out of those, because the Buddha has taught them.
Tati nani gyi kien se te nga su chi pe ragu tani yana gyo gewa chaba li driva devan jongwa se. Gyo ma gewa chaba li driva dungwan jongwa se te so. Teni gyo ger dikte gyi kien. Tela teni chawmi dewa tang dungwan te drivi tanda gyi kien gan driva.
So an example for the condition of the cause would be that from a virtuous cause you get a virtuous result, as to say joyous, pleasant experiences, or from non-virtuous causes, you obtain a result of non-virtuous, aka suffering, that you obtain the result of suffering from non-virtuous causes. So this is an example for what is meant by condition of the cause.
Tane mukpi kense de shibala mukpi kense de yongyore. Mukpi kense de zo yer de la ko yore. Mukpi kense de yer la ko re. Per na zugla mugni mukki hibake. Dala mugni navi hibake ro. Tene yende zug dan dra de zo la mukki hibi zug de mukki hibi mukken drade navi hibi mukkense ko muksa imbi chani.
And then what is the condition of the object? That refers, as the name says, to an object, and it is always, this term comes into discussion or comes up when we talk about consciousness. So, for example, in order to have I consciousness, we need an object, for example, in this case a form. So the object of form is one of the conditions that generates I consciousness. So therefore it's called the condition of the object. So without that we need that form so that the I consciousness is generated. For the ear consciousness it would be the sound. So with condition of the object, we refer to an object, such as sound or form, etc.
Tani tema tabi kense de shiba gare che yena yang korang ngun tela ngalo tela tema ta se dingun tema ta tela shiba che korang nyeleng shiba che yo gor marto shiba se de hoptu ge janda li ki yo mare tende yende tela tema ta kense de go yore
And then the last of these four, then the condition that is called the immediately preceding condition refers to what? It refers to the fact that any kind of consciousness needs a preceding moment of consciousness to arise. So there needs to be a stream, a continuum of consciousness preceding the arising of consciousness.
Tene dakpoyana said dakkenre. Dakken said the pena muknam hig dakkenla muka on wajakyor. Zukhersaga muka on boyoro. No, te mena yon muknambe hibi zuknongomaro. And
then the last condition of these four is the primary condition, which refers to the sense organ, for example, the eye. This is the primary condition for eye consciousness to arise. So that is what the condition, the primary condition refers to. Tanda wangpo trugla koare mato shempa dake yore. Wangpo mai dake nim shempa. So we are now using, of course, there can be more ways of explaining the primary condition. There could be other settings other than the sense organs that this term refers to. We now remain with this example because it's quite easy to grasp and a fundamental example. So let's think of the sense faculties as being the primary conditions for what? For eye consciousness, ear consciousness, and so forth to arise.
That is so. And
all of these four have been taught by the Buddha.
땡콜로 당우 까라 송겨요.
That was during the first turning of the wheel.
대 송위 점선데 단다 먹은 암시 옛날에 나윈 암시 옛날에 대수 깨르당당 되네 지단 그 통보되라 nga 요바 조 단다 겐데서 송사데 감세다 겐체세 감저게 당 겐체 중이 세텐데 송용의 까라 송겨요. 이나 대소 송야데 타르도나 다음에 고야가 체드 지네 다음에 고야 호지 라야가 체드 당원데 제니까 나오사래.
Why did the Buddha teach these? He was teaching them in the context of how consciousness arises, for example, eye consciousness and I do have some actually.
갈래치다 틀라면서.
Khenpo says, take your time. Thank you, Khenpo. So, he he taught them to explain how consciousness arises, eye consciousness and ear consciousness and consciousness of the nose and so on and so forth. And that was connected also to the explanations on the first 5 skandhas, on the 18 dhatus and the 12 ayatanas. And why was that important? Because at the end, with that, he wanted to people to understand the absence of a self, the inexistence of a self. So to grasp that accurately, he taught these 4 conditions and the related topics that we just heard, the skandhas and so on.
다 telā lōpāṅga kārī sōṅkhayō rāsīdīga tāndā pā lāñ nāmi kāwlā ngūpō nāmjī rāngzhī nā kien lā sōpa yō mā yīns dāk ngūpō yō mā na zhāngjī dāk ngūpō yō mā na zhāngjī ngūpō yō mā yīn sēni cik tē sōng rī yīnā tī ōni tā tsō tī mā rē kio nāmi kāwlā kāng sōng rāsīdīga 단다 레셰데 상지정 레셰 제단 레셰 마쳐라 요래 예나니 네고 상지정 레셰 다니 시나 버다 발다 데자와라 인데 괜나서 다만 제경 거라 잔세데 요말 송아데인데 디나나 파체 요지마 키라나 네고 가나 산 소께는 요비 네고 되나 nyogala sobi ngubana yoba mares ngaso kanse de kharsan yobi kala tena yoba mares tena yobi kala sani yoba marse chikpa chikyan chene yoba main des desha jola soba se giken la soba ken yoba na nyogala sobi ngubana amje rangje yoba mares tenri onde ten amji dak ngubo sidikin tibetere 다금 우보티에 귀티스메나 코티 델리잔 강진 차가래 잔세데 차사요 말다 손이 달란테 나래
Thank you.
Young lesson.
Okay, so I have a problem now with the text, with the English one, because it seems to have a different order for the next verse.
Derante karsan yomara nikol yomara te yome men sonde ta kenje te rivete da genre masons koyobi kala jan korandi rivete menduas mesona jan se de cham chaga yomara was tam khamaji go
So Nāgārjuna goes on then to refute that there is a rising out of another through the four conditions, because it is the same principle just as before. If you say that there is a result, so-called result, that arises out of these four causes, and these four causes or conditions are the so-called other, the another, out of which they arise, we have a problem, because while during the time of the four conditions, the result is not yet there. So how can we even talk about another? It is not possible, because on the level of relativity, you need to have both phenomena at the same time to speak about one and the other. So since it's not there during the four conditions, the result is not yet there, we cannot talk about arising of another, out of another.
Ngazu khatsang terang sedi pe de testab dewo da uchi yore ko dewo da uchi re yena yang penang ubo chi tanda kap de da uchi tam huma de la jaya de nga tsare tanda yo mare tanda ko kaji sa de ke yore sie de des ko kali kha da uchi yore
pe di sha sona
des tamu ko kali khabo da uchi chor kare wa
ine karujine kap ki peling gorata
ta ni jini ni tikkar course love kore cho tamu de love pena khatsang kaus tera me se de terang kaus khatsa me se de ko de ore yena yang tanda tambon de la jaya tisuk kap de tandi kap de la yo mar se de ji de yo nang da wo de ngma de nang da wo shan du ga ji nga so la le kare de ngma de tanda yo mar se de de hob tu ta na ko ka li kha da ji yo res.
And if we want to get a more difficult example, then if we look at the cup, we were saying that today we think it's the result of yesterday, but actually yesterday is not there anymore. Then we could say, well, yeah, yesterday is still here, because look at the cup, it was maybe put here yesterday, and today it is still there. This is a more difficult example, though.
Tendela tene ngma jagar ke chro ba te su na lo la pena pamba da we na re ta kap da we ngma pamba la ke ra ta pamba de zo ni cha ma song ko par da tak pa res te ko cha song da nyam da ma ta ba res ni tende te par den jora yo ma res cha song ka la tene ko na ma ta ba res song res ya ga
cha song ka la shine mi ta
tende song lam khen yo re hob to nyan da na ko de wo do oni yin ro sa so
There was a non-Buddhist school in India at the time that would say, take a vase, for example, and one of the classical examples is, let's talk about vases. So they said the vase, until it does not break, it is permanent. And once it breaks, then it's impermanent. They say, so it does not change at all until it breaks. Because it is permanent until it breaks, and then it's impermanent. So, hearing this like, oh yeah, of course, we might think that. It sounds kind of, at first hand, perhaps logical. That's all.
다 ngasu tomba thuje changa song thoma da song thama nikala matawa song re deshi tamche matawa re seti kana re song mare tambo chu song ikala go tsuge ti ta ne tsure thama nyangalin da ranka yang deshi tamche matawa re song ni nyangalin de song re.
The Buddha, our compassionate teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, he started out his whole time as a teacher teaching about impermanence at first and at last. So his first teaching was about impermanence, and his last teaching before passing was about impermanence, where he said, all phenomena are impermanent, everything that is compounded is impermanent.
다 텐데 송샤바티 다 제네 냠렌 첸칸 삼로 땅켄 대수 칼산시바 나자레 카히게 tomba 투제 장그 텐데 송데 대가라인데 대가라 예레 잔니 곰잠니 데네요 냠내 약고 차송아 카히게 다 다히 제네 산지지카 나와데 돈라 칸데 제네 니근도 세네 다히 제네 야 냠렌 땅칸가 다 matawaina tega na tongni nangja rig ni nyamne chetang rig mandawa ni yongyor tongni la kharsanga su tongmane yechi jengkan chigdang te na se matawala ya.
And then, just like last time, as we heard with the topic of emptiness, that there were two kinds of practitioners: those who follow the teachings of the Buddha with deep faith, and those who actually put everything to the test through their own logic and reasoning. And in the same way, also with these teachings, there were some practitioners who felt like, yeah, I feel that this probably is true, and then they practiced with that conviction and that faith, and then progressed on the path. And then there were others who put these teachings to the test and investigated for themselves and progressed on the path like that.
Ta he kari ro che ko se de ta he chengen tesu ri samna tangen tesu pe na ngasu pogol lo chigni lo nga ga padro chigla zukpo la gerwa chembo chile chare ti gerwa ti tene lo nga la chagu lo re la tene dawa chuni na re yana ta nyama samjatu tsanga tenre ge tang la pha go cha kyap tin gerwa de dega na shin tene chusu karma chuson tamche la gerwa chile ko de yoba de ma jacha go ne nga so na an chi na shin chi ne chi ne tenre che de karcha chi yana ya tene gerwa re le ko yo sa re dere che go na ko la jacha dere che yong ko do se ne ta don da la ta hit dere che ni gerwa le ko yo ba de tingi ya konfen ro ka la zu pun gerwa le ko yo ro ti chani la tene ya yang che nga ro gen go de yang che pe la ja ni chik la cho ko ro tang mo che nang te ro la na lo chig ni nga ga par la pen chen le bro do ti zuk ka chi ti par da zuk ka chen gerwa le shang du ta zuk lan gerwa ka che le ba te pha go cha kya ni tene zuk pola
mari shemba tana konzo ki dinde tak che chegi
ta che chen kan ya ba chen kan ti Buga Zupo Yargen Road, the Yovatela Pata Hichi.
La so hako so.
Take Yasala go, then the Richiona, the Karchachik, Mazukar Sikan Zero. Then they take it Selayon, Cotes and Gura live the Yovatita, Gocha Yawandiga. That's 100 Gitachiva now in Chini. Those Hako Yongor.
Okay. And the second group, the ones who are very keen on analyzing and investigating things for themselves, what kind of reasoning did they use? One of the reasonings they did is analyze or investigate a child, the growth of a child. If you look at a child from the age of 1 till 5, it undergoes an incredible change during those years, and then if they get curious about, okay, when exactly does that change happen? So they see, okay, from 1 to 5, there are like 5 years. 5 years are made of 5 years are made of 5 years. 1 year is made of 12 months, and one whole cycle of 12 months has 360 days. 60 days. Let's see how long is 1 day. It's 24 hours, and then they split it down and down and down until you come to seconds. So reflecting that actually in each second, this child is undergoing change. Yes, sir.
That no, Perna Tayan Lord Duncho don't chicken, Tonga, but Cabri Omata. Donna Zupo de Pa, Troll and Royo Kavla, young long Agatella, Gassin, you're what live the you. Then they answer a gocha down the young. Garcha chick Selayon, what a Zupo teletin, you're what you put in the Yosare, Sambaga. Could the Onsigitani, more than la pound, the Gaji. Rela, Zupol and Gerald Equidiote, repeat on it,
we could, in the same way, take an old body, an old aged body of maybe 75 years old, and one sees that aging is sort of visible, so you a little bit more during that time, and you can say, oh, in 5 years, how much aging process is happening, and then when exactly is the aging process happening, and then you split it down again, how many years are there, and how many months and how many days in 1 year, and when exactly is the change happening. So this is a question of mathematics and logic, and then you split it down and you come to see that probably change is happening every second. And actually, this very logic has been supported by science. We know that that is the case. Change is happening in every instant.
That the condition in Gerald Leoyoti, Tahichi on the gelatin in Gerald Leoyoti, Kohakoya Chakayori. G. Penna, Suboyar, Yargendo, we call it. Thinking Zombog down a Yargendo, G. Then Zupoma could be Gala, Garkin, Mount Lemni, Zupoma Gokuyore. Then it's on the Yata Gelatin, Gerase, the Lekundoa, Sambachi, Tanapaki Yosare.
The Gulatin Yagidroin, and why is that? So we can say that it is because of causes, whether the body or something increases or develops is because of the causes, or whether something degenerates is because of the causes and conditions.
Then they on the Jagger Panta that is Huma, Garrison Corsidia. Jiva said the Jawan said the Reshandos. Jawan said the Caris, so on and road to city, Gilio, Gio on the roads, Gio on the Sony, Corona Ram, Meba Roach, Jivisati. Sene, Kanda, Kanjanki on the Song Tamche, Matawarendo, Seni, or the day, Chenny, your chicks on your.
the Indian pundits at the time, they said that results, they are completely dependent of their causes. Like they have no own independence at all. They are completely dependent on their causes.
Tende chengde chami ka tesola yo jeli ki yong ma chi yin tene ko ka gan ka rogan du sone jiba se kiba jeli kiba te ta la ko ne tene pong chu chen ka gan ma ta te jeli kibe shar se ga o
In the in the Pramana teachings, it is said that whatever arises out of a cause is subject to instantaneous impermanence. So it means that every instant it is changing, that there is some kind of change that also sometimes is called cessation. In each instant there is a cessation, there is an instantaneous impermanence.
Ta tanda tawo yana khatsan shiwa na jare chanrik jumdi khahi chi ngaso shiwa pen thoya chi yongun du se de tenda gore chanrik ta hi chi yong de pen cha dawo tende ngubo chapo ka se yana te cheher nang pha cher ta tene chi ta on de ta pha de chun etam se ro dans la gonde de train de so jewa lo ni roga de yoba ma to be de chen yok po shu chi la jewa lo ni roga de ba ma to de yoba chi rakhma do cha de train de ma so je do yoba jewa lo ni je do yoba ta de so la sam na ta na ma so te gen par gyang kal vendu te so pha tar ta yo ro tawo chine perna mala kyasan cha on la mala se kale le watani che yoro tende chine ngirwa le ko yo de pha ka se tar ta na yo ta don pe yok pa ngirwa le ro yo te na lo ko de jewa lo ro do o te tanda ta chanrik pa don pokin khiba to so dolan chi on de ta khonso nyen te so konsusu shabi nyante su tong ke yore yikto la phap ke yore te ngosong choi do cha song re tende yen ngonde ta ngaso mama tomba thuje changge dishi thamche mata ba yere kaji la nga ro yore chine de ke yo mare song de ngaso rikpa ta ni tandi chine samna tang go yore samna ta ni ngishi tong ke yore ngishi tong ke so tokpan thong pa cha ke yore ta cha yore tene ino kahi yang karina sambaji yang ko mataba yongor ta danda ngus te yong de ta ngus lab gorwa tonda la parikya onti ta ne lep ko yore yana da ko tene thongdo ge rawo chi cha ngode ta homma sanji ge song ja ba de ta danda ngus yang parikya ne le ngdo asambaji sheni ko yang ne ba tong chi yongdo.
You remember the other day, Khenpo mentioned that there are a few wonderful learnings that we can take from the scientists or results, findings that they have made through their own research. And one is now concerning this topic, that they have put very solid materials such as iron under the microscope, and they have tried to see what is actually happening inside of a piece of iron when we see everything just very fixed, solid, and like nothing is happening in there. And they have seen that there are a lot of particles that they are moving and they are changing, and the more you zoom in, the faster the change is, like the more change you can see. And that's really wonderful, because on one hand side, it is just a confirmation of what the Buddha has already said many thousands of hundreds of years ago, that everything that is compounded is impermanent, and that means that in each second, in each instant, it is changing, and something is ceasing and changing. And therefore, this is something that great practitioners, they would themselves investigate at the time. They did not have the tools of science, and then get to that conclusion with certainty and firm conviction based on their own reasoning. And we are lucky that we can actually have a proof right there from science today.
다 던데 지금 되게 단다 니값데 탐험만 되는 조비 값고요. 디디스그 되네. 더튼데 차상 단다. 로차래. 지가 돼요 말.
Kazanki kapo.
냐 단다 될 자성. ngason de levro ngason de levi ka jason ta dik ka ko ndi ta na yobi dutchen dan da che yo mar ko chason dutchen mar don ko la ngo shan ji yo mar
Dutchen mato ya.
ta de dutchen de ne chason je wo lo sare den de je won de ta ma ja de ta dan din de re man do.
So this cup that was actually put here before the teachings is not anymore the same cup that was put here before the teachings. All particles inside this cup have already changed by now. It's a new cup.
다 던데 지금 데 쳇서 거기 갑라 데라 자야게 되네 갑데 단디 데텔라 다 요 말이 단다 요바데 쳇서 저와 섬로 요비 갑고 되네 갑직 쳐야 돼요.
So this is not anymore the 9 o'clock cup. This is the almost 10 o'clock cup.
다 가서 탐 강라 그랬어디게 제디 값스 리베티 트비오 마레스 리베티 값스 제덴가 차레스 라요 마레스 덴데 예노데 데니 샨세데 용아요 마레스 송에디 데 무부탄타타 렙데요.
So in short, what is being said here is that during the time of the cause, at the time of the cause, the result has not yet come about. Once the result has come about, the cause is not anymore there. It has ceased. So we cannot talk about a rising out of another. Didn't you understand like your marela gora?
어테레 되니 잔세 지 교단 리위니 있다나 뒤지게 간서 뒤냐비 잔세 지 코나 영화 메바데로.
Yeah, so the cause, it has disintegrated, it is lost once the result is there. So we cannot talk about another, because another is a term that needs an object of relativity, and it's not there, because once the result is there, the cause is already lost.
당가서 직견 섬세다 교단 지어세에 대해서 당만다니 기비라네 로존 안가 뭐만이 요래 되니 나년 발급 중에 영가수 직라네요. 데니 로존 안가 요래 대수 가랑가수 감세다 견체세에 대해서 망오지 장 요래 다 뒤에 단단히 가라 배편 톡 요래 다 감세된 지 감세 다 가서 먹바 감 죽 드라세다 되네요. 먹비감 그래요. 먹바여기 감 죽세요. 근데 지금 가서 단단 대셔용 가라 대양 엄마 방금 괜찮대서 장가다바대서 대스 고발된 뒤에 용거도 와 등이 가 잠바시셔요. 너무 대지라나.
So whether it's talking about these 4 conditions or cause and effect. Those of you who have previously studied in Kibi, and there are many of you here today, then you have looked into these topics when studying about the dhatus and the skandhas, the ayatanas, and so forth. And this is for sure of much help to you now as a background when you listen to this. You have learned about the dhatus of the cause and the dhatus of the object and so on and so forth. Yes.
감당 견체세에 대해서 정하잖아. 단다 견체리 개와디 잔리 개와 말에 세에 고리사야 용거요. 근데 얘는 동바 투제 장가 콜로 당고 고리가라 감당 견체 봉어대서 망송요래. 다 제네 드네 콜로 바바 고리가라 드네 단다 먹은 남바 히와티에서 드네 줄리 기바 마레 손도나 먹은 남바 히와티 기바 메바레 손마 손데 다
기와 메바레
기와 메바 연설 엄마 방금 견체 고르티 안고 충근테서라다 고디야 용고래 디찬이 고름 럼바 전도 동바투지장 송하자고 지그래도
And therefore, if you have already studied this in the past, it will be more easy for you to understand that there is no arising out of another, which is the most difficult piece in these ways of arising, these 4. And the Buddha, when teaching about these various things, he was very skillful in being gradual in his teaching. So he started in the first turning of the wheel, talking about these elements, exactly these of the aggregates, the skandhas, of the dhatus, the ayatanas, and then in the second turning of the wheel, the so-called middle turning, he then actually said that there was no arising of, for example, eye consciousness, that there was no arising of eye consciousness based on these 3 conditions that we heard, etc. So he actually then negated that.
Then 콜로 당고 가라 차위 맞다와 단당가서 까지까지 인지와 렘로 요버티 송온데고 then 영 콜로 바리 가라 돈이 그따와 딴난 배발라 배 펜토고시
마레디고 코마송 콜로 당부 카블라 케치카레
까지까지 그 맞다위 저도 까지까지 간다고 맞다와티 송오래 망고송거요래 대송 때네 콜로 바리 가라요 콜로 바라다 타미 가라 돈이 송온데 영 고디야직
테니 고디 카르 당부디 테스 고데와 차네
당부디 또기
당부캅기 디
당부디 또기 니바디 고디야.
So actually the first turning of the wheel then was supportive for grasping better the topic of the second turning. And in the same way, during the first turning of the wheel, the Buddha taught about instantaneous impermanence, meaning change happening every instant. And then in the second turning, when he taught about the view of emptiness, then it was easier to grasp based on the teachings he gave in the first turning. Thanks to those.
ngazu tsawa khirala rashin yuk tsabden yore rashin yuk tsabden nani pana ken la ta khechena re ron la ta khena re desoma takwa chewi kala matakwa la tugni gite sun dewa meba dewi tis gyome ba te ron la tugni rashin yuk tsabden bo chasan la tirik pa te peche shuk chenbo tong go yore Jyutis and Jivati met Sarva, Jivitis Jyuti met Sarva, Jyutis and Jivati Makiva, Tendriching on the Te Johnson Laconi. Machiva Nola te Rupati di Pechatangri.
And in the same way, just like that, like in these examples, also in the 27th chapters of Nāgārjuna's Kārikas, where he investigates all kinds of things like conditions or coming and going and so on and so forth, he actually keeps on repeating the baseline, the base tone through all of these chapters is impermanence, the topic of impermanence. And the main logic is the one that we just heard, so that during the time of the cause, the result has not yet arisen. During the time of the result, the cause is no longer there. So this is really one of the basic fundamental reasonings that you should know.
Tā tēnē chīngō dī kāwlā, pēnā lēwā tāngwō dī kāwlā, rāpshā tāngwō dī kāwlā, tsō chūgī dāmē dī tānlā pāp kīyō rē. Tāndā mīkī nāmbā xīvā tāwā dī, kānglī yāng kīvā mā rē sō. Tā kīvā mā yā na, mā kī na ngāk sē chī yōngsā kānyā kā mā rē. Tēnē kī mē, ngāyā mē, tēnē chī yā na, tē chīk tādā lā sō bā, kārsāng kōng dō. Tēnē tākchā lā sō. 딱체 직 다들 오마 메바 조와 메바 세디게 데이터위 지 주바 탐시 자와디 깨와 메바 세디 하고 소나 되네 잠바테서 용사요 말이 된데 이노데 다 당무 단다디 추진디 까당 되네 뭐 깨와 메바 세디 단라 파고요
Tanga tes ringbo chaso nga
re ta dor ngi ngarang lapta te ya te se rong ro chaso ngi dor di lamna ro danda nga sun dali ma ye jan me so andi ka le kewa me ba rang song yo re kewa ka yo re ta kewa me ba tan la phau yo re te gare chene phau yo re se de ga gon de nga pa me ba ke me ba cha ba me ba ta me ba wa me ba ro me ba ta da to me don chi me se tu bin ta ge song re 되네 깨와세 때면서는 잠바 용사요 말. ngakpa pena kiwa mesono ngayo kini ngakoro. Dende yeno de tangu kiwa de yoba mai batan la pap.
Ten kiwa mena shenya yongi mari perna kendra.
Oh, de tanda man tubin ta getchi oro. Ko ngakpa me ba kime chapa me ba ta me.
Dindri yendu trebe ta gia di kare.
Tin choje kalo yo.
Oh, tene.
Kiwa me sona, tene ngakpa se di yonsa yo.
Treba gia di nang na treba gia nang ne shemba di yo.
Kaya yonsa yo mar. Ko tsabi kiwa te me sona?
Ale yinda yin.
Di chane tomar.
Takpa dang chepa me pa yang mare. Kiwa me na takpa chepa yongi mare.
Ti yong mare. Kona se di ga chapa se di tangwa yo dava ching tsam cha song la karza shakadwa. Takpa se di tangwa kini dani kyuni pa nguwan kyura miwa cha shakadwa.
And the first chapter by Nāgārjuna is a chapter that mainly explains this and shows the absence of a self of phenomena. And for example, that I consciousness does not arise out of anything. And we have heard at the very beginning of this work in the homage that there are these 8 elaborations or proliferations when we heard that this whole list when Nāgārjuna says in the doctrine of dependent origination there is neither cessation nor origination, neither annihilation nor the eternal, neither singularity nor plurality, neither coming nor going. So these are the 8 extremes of elaborations or proliferation, as we heard the word proliferation the other day, proliferation. And what he does at the very beginning, the verse that we have discussed, is he negates arising. So arising is one of these 8 proliferations. Here it's called origination. So he negates origination. And what happens is when you negate origination, then everything else falls off. Because if there is no arising, then there are, for example, also no conditions. Then there is no annihilation, and so on and so forth. There's no eternity, and so on and so forth, if there is no arising. Lasso?
Tā tēnrī chīni kiwa me ba tān lāmbē tāng tēnlā pēnā rabshī tāngu kāwlā kienlā tāgani chū ki dāg me ba. Rabshī nīwī kāwlā rōhōng lā tāgani kāngsā ka dāg me ba. Tsō tē tān lā phāb tāng tē tēnrī rē shāndu.
So in the first chapter then, by mainly looking at conditions, that is serving us to understand the absence of a self in phenomena. So the first chapter, the chapter on conditions, is aiming towards showing the absence of a self in phenomena. And then in the second chapter, which is mainly speaking about coming and going, then that chapter serves to show the absence of a self of the person.
Tā tēt awī chū ki dāg me ba tān lāmbē sēyā tē chī phōngwa ngā sēyā dāng. Zūg lā sōpa, yāng zūg dā chā rō rikshā sēyā lā sōpa. Tē sō dāg dā mā dā ba tān lā phāpa tē lā chū ki dāg me sōng yō rē. Phōngwa ngā gā nāni pē nā zūg tā wā tē.
Zug. Alle.
Kiwa me ba, ngā pā me ba, tāni dēmbar mā dā ba sōng tē sō.
Da chuki dang me di pna zula.
Tēn rī gā tāni. Kānsā gā dāg me sē tē kānsā khorā tā khī chī.
So when we talk about the absence of a self in phenomena, then we are speaking about phenomena such as form and sound and so on and so forth. And absence of a self of these phenomena, meaning that these phenomena are not truly existent. That's all.
Tā ngā sū yāng chik pē rā gu tāni shē na, pē na chok tsē ndē, hop tu ki tā na chok tsē sē chik yōpa nā shē, pā tāng tē rā ā sāmbā rā gu chik yōng kā rē, yā na shib dā pā tā gā nē, chok tsē sē tē kāng rē ndū, tāng kā xiāng tē rē ndū, yin yung kā xiāng rē rē nē rē ndū, chok tsē kāng bā yō rā, tē sō rē ndū, kāng rē sē tē, chik tā xē rā gu chik wā na, chok tsē sē tē, ndī tāng lō, nye chok chē kī yō mā rē. Yeah.
Tene ngatsu chugi dagmel chi looking we pull So for an example for
Tera goya yo marta yo. Chugi dagme tana phe yin chimi shelo rang goya yo mar. Nang ngasu supon de so da me ba de yo chugi dagme tsagare. Ko kansa maro. Pempo rig lam na rig dor.
So when we talk about the absence of a self in phenomena, then with that we are talking about everything that has matter. So that's phenomena here. Everything such as form could also be our own body, not only the form that we have on the outside. So if we take an example for the absence of a self of phenomena, we can take the table and see, okay, I see table, I label this as a table. Where exactly is the table? Which part of the table is the table? Is it the legs? Is it the flat wood on top of the legs? Is it the sides? Which part exactly is the table? Where exactly is the table? Penny?
That day no jenchini yo pa ro ni penna mo de ro chi na tani yo ku chi dur na ka dur. We
could also take a cup. Okay, I have a cup. What exactly here is the cup? Which part of the cup is the cup? Is it the outside or the inside? Is it the lid? What exactly is it? And then we see that this cup is made of many parts, among which none of it I can really call the cup. The cup, where's the cup?
더 오늘 적세던 값에서 자원인의 맨 얼세나 자원인의 매와 되세요 말이야. 그런세디 가서 레당 곰비도 너도 그래.
It is also not the case that we can say, okay, this means that the table or the cup, they are completely inexistent. No, that's also not the case, because based on our karma and our habits, our patterns, we see them, they appear. They are appearances that we do experience.
다때 나와제 되네 가서 소수즈레 배낭고 된리라 배자네요 해바다고 지원은 얘기매봐 얘나야 초다요와 지금도 파야 주포세 니수포세 ngeng고세 야 단다 적세세 된리야 파 따자바치 요다바.
We could also take the same investigation to our body or the head and see, okay, which part exactly of my body or my head is my body, my head. And we could take it apart and see and look inside and check. And at the end, we will not find something that we can call my body or my head. It is nothing but a label, a conceptual label.
다 된리세디 가장 공도 간시레세디가 즉 교경도 그 나도지 요바텔라 dangerous 얘나야 나솔라 나와 쳇다와신데 양파 좀 매바 지라 동반예스
Okay.
오 세데 따따 지 고토야도지.
And to reiterate what was said the other day, how we can understand the terms interdependence and emptiness, it's in the following way. The appearance of things based on causes and condition, that's interdependence, interdependent arising. So I will say that again, it's the appearances that arise out of causes and conditions are called interdependent arising. And the fact that these appearances are not truly existent the way they appear, that is emptiness.
당아서 경거 지금 나온도야 우번대서 ngasun hongata marjaba tombani sambatela tesi gomnyamlen tende nana tanda chanchu chonjuk chemna lola tonye bakcha gombali ngupu bakcha pongjer changsene tonye setela gomne bakcha sha tende chege tanda tende ngaso ngupan samba 이거 박차다서 되네 파 뽕으로 그래서니 오데 송교래 된디 백기스 전죽나네 요래 돈이 박차 곰발리 무부 박차 뽕 결정세 무번 점바가 박차다서 빵빵으로 그래서 무번 점바선 덴반 점바세나래 나노마다 요래 삼바지 요로
So if one can meditate on emptiness in this way, that whatever appears is not truly existent the way it appears, as we have heard, that's emptiness, that things are not truly existent the way they appear, then in the Bodhicharyavatara it is stated that if you meditate on emptiness and leave imprints of this meditation in your mind stream, then you will get the new imprints in your mind of not grasping onto phenomena, things having a true existence. So we have seen by now some of the essential points of chapter 1. And then Khenpo thought, like just the other day, he would like to give you a lung now for chapter 2. Chapter 2 mainly focuses on elucidating the absence of coming and going, and it does that in a quite thorough manner, extensive manner, with a lot of logic and reasoning to ascertain the absence of coming and going.
Tati kaula zo gari songkor se di nrowa se dan songwa se de so gadi yores yang tanda na jen chini teni tisam kanani divi kaus yore mawi kaus yore dharti kaus yore teni soni ndorna ma rikpi so ta hichini phekwe yore.
So one of the main inquiries here is when we talk about coming and going, the question, if we talk about coming and going, then when actually do they happen? Do they happen in the past? Do they happen in the present? Or do they happen in the future?
Tatsavi ngasu semna la pena nrowa se shawa chija. Ti chepa po ngarang yan sambachi. Nga nrowa po yan sambachi. Tende chi tranki yodi tsavi nrowa se ti rikpi tahit nanga la nrowa po se ti yoba mare song ota ti zo song yore.
Talking about going, for example, and going is an action. It's a verb, an action. And then we need a goer. If there is a going, we need a goer, a person who goes. And who's that? Let's say that's me. So, and if we investigate that act of going, then we will actually find out that there is no goer. We end up knowing that there is no one that goes, and that's one of the key points that Nāgārjuna is showing here.
Tatani tetavi goni ching rowa po se te kaya la zo ta dak se te yoba mayin badi koyare kichi tan kanse tan tartuk ro senare ko goya te tere.
So in this process of negating the existence of a goer, what's actually really the important point that Nāgārjuna wants us to understand is that there is no self.
Tang asu perna phong nge kor jang sankan chi yana yang te pek tan shan tab dewo chi yore karte phong ga jang men kan te so ngasu le dan sem se de ta mang chi ha ko yore tendi yong de tin ni ga tan yang hya pa do china ko de yore tendi indi phar che ni ga tan hya pa china samla tan yak sa re do sam.
For those of you who have already studied about the 5 skandhas, the 5 aggregates, this is going to be quite easy to understand. And for those of you who have not, we can just talk in the terms of the 2 aspects of us humans, which are the body and the mind.
Zandala Pemkan Tesola, Chadangiti Pegdani, Toxe, Sarmong Shio, Yeritangandu, Ti. Gare need to jump pay Kangatani, Shakio Sediga, Perna Kupa Karwo Chigdan, Napo Chig Drumni, then so shall be Kupatel, Kupa Travel Lakari. The Pate Yona. Kuba chawo se di dana kuba napo te dan karwo te ni marto jamba chawo se chi sabani ne yo mar phandri la ibati na karwo te sam yombati na napo te san te gar are yana ya te nyam de drum jaga we kala kuba chawo se chi semna hyar do kre te pela jane ngaso soso yosan de la chen number na so kenan so yosa de la le dan hiba niore de marto jamba chi yo mare yena le dan hiba nyam de so da yo ba de la ngaso kansa se da se, nga se, da pa da shakri.
There's one example Khenpo says I like to give. Those of you who have studied with me before here in Kibi, you know this example very well. And it is the following. If you take two strings, let's say you take one black and one white string, and you put them together and make sort of one string out of both, then you can say, oh, this is a multicolored string. And yet, this multicoloredness exists only because of the combination of two different colors. If you take these two strings apart again, and you have one white and one black string, then you cannot say there is multicoloredness. It is not so, because then you have one white string and one black string. In the same way, you all have a body and consciousness. And when these two gather together, then we give this collection, this gathering, the meeting of body and consciousness, the name, the label, person, individuum, self, I, me.
Da tende ching de nga su pe na nam shi men khen ga zu po kyang wa che na ta ro do cha da yo re tene zu po la te me ni shi ba che na yong sa ka jang ke yo ma re zu po la ten me ni yo zu po che la pha ten me ni shi ba che na nga su pe na mi na de la yong sa ka jang ke yo ma re zupo la ten ba ma yimpi tene message yo sa kanyang yo ma nam shi kyang wa chi no te yo ma ro tende yo de ta me se te ni ga cho do ba chi dang la pha da sha ne yim ba ti chi ni ja 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 le dang shi ba ni cho da ba chi la pha da sha ne yim ba te ta tan khen ni la ta ya chi.
If we have a body without a consciousness, then we do talk of a corpse, a dead body. Then yes, that's possible. Then you only have a body, you have no consciousness. And to have a human being with just consciousness and no body, well, that's pretty unlikely. So we all have to agree that body and mind, the body and consciousness, that they are collecting together, that they are uniting, interacting, and that we call this collection self, individuum, and so on and so forth, so that these labels are given to this collection or gathering of body and consciousness.
Ta te je ngaran su sem na la nga se sha di chi da bu so ra ya na pom bu so ra so su phon le pom bu so ra ya ka ka la so su phon da bu so ra chi den de chi so de chi yo bi na wa da wa chi shan do ko yo de la dang zhen se gre.
And to us it often feels like this so-called I is sort of like the boss above everything else, and that it's like superior to my body or other things that I might feel in my system. Then there is the so-called I, and this I is sort of the boss of everything. And this is what is called ego clinging.
Ta ten rao da chi me ba ha ko na tene dang zhen se de da me ba ha ko ko ni pong ko yo re ma to jen ba pong ya ga ta shi me da ba o ten ren do.
If we want to get rid of ego clinging, then this can only happen through understanding that there is no ego, that there is no self, then that is the antidote towards ego clinging, self-grasping. Nothing else can do the job other than understanding that there is no self.
당가서 대전 코리니랑 코리아 때 nga sampan데랑라 때네 되네 리거드서 텐데 신은 코리니랑 코르요레 때자웨 nga sam바데 파체 깍탑소나 되네 코리니랑 코르머고바 어떤지 착해요서래.
Normally the fact that we roam around, wander around in cyclic existence, in samsara, it's exactly because of this notion of me, of I. And it's because of this notion of me, of I, because of this concept that we do accumulate a lot of karma, that we accumulate virtuous karma but also non-virtuous karma. And therefore, when we free ourselves from this notion of I, then it seems that that is when we then do not anymore have to wander around in cyclic existence.
단다 사만남자가 나로라 다음에 넘버니 통나 스비사ವಂ가 버린겨르세니 다음에 세디 통소나 스비사ವಂ가 그래 말도 즉 참반 현재서 그 당선 매봐서 타고 말해 소용 어떤지 소용을
Sipa kakpar gurroatsi.
스비사원 세디 콜발레 끼위 겨
Sapen.
다 주어 당선이
Lasso. Jambatan ninjini leka chetu gimarsa.
아 되지
And in the
그래
in the Pramana Vartika, it is said that once we see the absence of a self, then the seed of cyclic existence is removed. As to say, then the cause for a rebirth in cyclic existence is removed. And it also says that then compassion and loving kindness cannot do the job for this.
다 된대지 온데 되네 다음에 남바니 세데 하장 개첨보지 곰샤라 하장 개첨보지 대가서 양 대다위 제 추대다 자르바데서 깔바성어 임바 된대 제 학고야지 용도
Dagmen nampani kelchkom kelaimba. Dagmen nampani laimba.
레레
So it is extremely important, these reflections and meditations about the absence of a self in both aspects, both in the way of the absence of a self of phenomena, as well as the absence of a self of the person. And hearing all of this, it's very touching actually how lucky we are to have encountered this Dharma that is so profound.
다데다위 다음에 내룩돼서 학고야다 곰이 호용에 대해서라 탑시 야효라고데 땅가서 랑리산 지야가 랑리산 지번 점바 대양 직다 가상 공도 시바 나오지 다 잔라 록바체야라 되네 소소야게 땅에 소소야고 창나잖아 펜토사리 잠바게 땅에 되네 동네 다음에 대해서 약고지 곰케인 되네 대해서 약고지 고용하다 곰 대해서 남로 용해 된지 건long 커서나 커텀나 되네 다 답시 송제 차네 되네 약고 차야라 파체 대해서 매바도 오지 되네 인사리
되네 탑셰니 송주. in order to understand the absence of a self and to be able to practice and meditate on this, then what seems to be the best method is that what we already have talked about, so that we take others more important than ourselves, that we understand that in order to help and support others, we ourselves need to grow and progress and evolve, and that this should be then the motivation to meditate and deepen our insights into the absence of a self, of the person and phenomena, and that should be the motivation for meditating on emptiness. And if we get skilled with this motivation and practice based on this motivation, then we really unite both aspects of skillful means and wisdom, and that is really the best, and it is therefore that will lead for sure to something great.
Tende chengwande ta ngaso che sosu lenga ga tanga nyamlen te yang jan la noba kya te sawanyen ni che ka thoya ta ka kan thotap che tene noba do jan la no kya go du samba ta che control te so sa yong e ka la tene samla ma wa ta ne pe na ka san so bi le ta tende samla ta ne control ma ja ya ta te so ngaso tukpa chenpo chu nyamlen ka mi shen rawo te tende re shang tukpa chenpo chu nyamlen sheba la tsawi yogo ya ka tsawan rawo te jan la no kya te kaya te tong la tene re te chen nam.
And this, of course, then is also put into practice, into our daily lives, so that, for example, through body and speech, that we do not harm others. This is one of the key principles in the Mahayana, that we do get rid of any kind of harm that we could cause to other beings. So we have heard teachings these days on the topic of patience as a way to, to calm our anger. So this is also part of this aspect of the Mahayana, to try to not to harm anyone. So when you get angry, then, take a deep breath and try to calm yourself down.
Tene jan la no pa che ya ka pi ta ne tene so so ka che ne so ge ta jamba la pen ta ya te ta nyam le ngoma te te ro
Ale no pa di pasha pento.
no pa che ya te pa ka pi ta ne tene so so ro pa kan thop.
Yeah. So on the one hand side, we give up harm, and on the other hand side, we replace it with benefit, with benefiting others.
Ta de so chuda mo zok char jang do de na tene chwa re ni re yo na.
Okay, so time is pretty advanced by now, yet if there are one or two questions, then we can still take those.
Thank you, Khenpo. Just to repeat one sentence, so you say skill with that motivation, we can make it with great result. Sorry, can you hear me?
This is not working, this box here, for the questions. Well, you can try.
Okay. So just to repeat the sentence really, so you mentioned skill with that motivation. We are sure that and then we meditate, then you will be sure to meet with great results. And I just missed the sentence of what is the motivation exactly in that sentence that you mentioned.
Yeah, tangi kirang gidi sung so akun long Kunno di yapuchana tene tapsheni sungju chak pares tene ya ngune de buzang butop geres. Kunno kares titi mo chik tata komasong.
Chanchuk sim.
Bodhicitta.
Thank you.
Dear Khenpo, we heard that there is no dependent arising, and yet I'm asking for a cause. So impermanence, is there a cause for impermanence? Is that the first mistake we make, the ignorance that we don't understand, that we don't have an ego? Or is the question irrelevant?
Okay, what's the cause for is there a cause for impermanence? And then what was the second part?
Yeah, or is it an irrelevant question?
Mitak pala yurbes yang na ditriwa kupares.
Ah.
Mitak pala yurbes yang na.
Re deshi kanda kaina chasa mata bare te gito ko mata wasi ro yoro. Ta gyose de tsawani ne meba de re yo mare. Ina rikpi hyaba china ngaso la nanga nangje yoba de yang re yo mare.
Nangwa nangshin yo mares gyuta yores.
Meba tsawani ne meba re yo mare. Meba re yo mare
Tene
se.
gyutop ki mitak pares.
Chita yoba mare se de da meba re se de to sin rag maro. Meba tsawani ne meba de mare se. Ina ngaso nangwa nangje yoba ya mare se.
Tene rindu gyu yores mitak pala gyu yorbes.
Mata pala gyu ngaso la nangwa nangje yo mare se. Ina tsawani ne meba mare se.
Khenpo is saying, you know, causes, yes, causes are there. The point is that we cannot say that the causes are there in the way how we perceive them to be. Causes are not there at all. There are causes, yet if we investigate through reasoning these causes, then we will see that they are not what we believe they are. That therefore things are not the way how we perceive them, how they appear to us. That's not exactly how they are. Yeah.
Khenpo, when we are reaching or want to reach the emptiness, is it so that it's in an instant and then we can already keep it the whole time? Or is it a more gradual process and it takes time to integrate in your daily life?
Tere tango ngaso tahye chene gomya te tango leukre. Tene tahye chene de nere rendo samba toya chi sosuki ukala yongyor. Te koni pa hyaba cheya dang hakoyani. Te ngaso hyaba che tene hakora. Te jene papi koma tobi kala ngonsum te toro do. Taton dodo chena hyaba cheya te tangwan ro kores. Yena kahiga yang long la ichi chene. Ta tegara yende samne gom jamne tok rong kene yang yong do.
Tene modi laborita chik tene to yona hako yona tene ko gom de turna jeto bladi kontakta cheng yorbe di to ko yankya tes me
Re tranger trander.
in degre pet lang
Re jito kala sur lang kala tranger.
Ngatsunga madilagi wa tang jetop kabla pakpa mayina yankya tes tempa jeta mare.
Mare jekmar.
So for us as in the beginning, it is important that we contemplate, so we for ourselves investigate on emptiness, or maybe we are that type that we have just natural trust in these teachings, then that's the other way of doing it. And then we gain some confidence in these notions that, oh yeah, perhaps that's what's the truth. And then when we are Aryas, noble beings, then we have a direct realization of emptiness. And on the path, when we get more and more understanding in emptiness and insight into emptiness, well, we will remember, even after the meditation, that insight, we will not lose it.
Okay, thank you.
Then, so now the mango chik parche, ngi Facebook jolanderwa na yosari. You know, ngi tuja inchi shigme diga, tacha ta mixer chik trawa doctrina lan tevya ta tendri me yong de ngarang cerna da wachene. Ti ngule ma cha sha sha pa mango chi yosayo. Ti cha chanang cha sang ngulen chen andra ke yore, yena ti injitani ngala trawa leon ngi te kaptak lan te shige omare te gongar me waches.
And Khenpo, I would just like to inform those of you who have been trying to keep in touch through Facebook, because maybe you have sent a friend request or you have sent some questions or messages. Khenpo just would like you to know that he does not know English, so it is not possible for him maybe to reply or to accept all of your requests. So please don't take it personally. His English is not good enough for that, so please don't get upset. It's nothing to do with you.
Sunamde tamche zubanye toni niwe rana pashe de kegana che bon chubon sibin solen rowa rowa ko chanjo semna rambo je ma ge bana gi giba nyamba me ba na kone konde pe ko tonye dawa rambo je ma ge bana gi ya Kipa nyamba me pa dang kone konde be shu. Tadane nga so lama chika loma re, chi Saranzamande Garna Yongundu, Yonda Pa Chasan Susu and Doris and the Semna and Serna Yongundu. Then Papa Yang Susu Young Doris and the same Ganaji Market Bado. I Chasan or Tendi and the Jima Yang Chasan as well Lamachi Homa in the Junior Tanjayo in Molamio.
And we are all disciples of one Lama, and we are very happy when we gather, and we might be a little bit sad when we leave. And Khenpo says, I make the wish that we will gather again and again.
Dear Khenpo, I believe on behalf of all of students in here who joined the course, I would like to thank you very much for your kindness and teachings and wisdom that you were sharing with us through all this week. And we hope that we will have many, many more opportunities to learn from you. And also, Yurika, we are very thankful for your translation, and and we admire your effort and strength. So thank you so much. And dear friends, one announcement. If you would like to do the test tomorrow also, if you will be needing a test on Sunday, you will be able to do that. So you can register for tomorrow in the office, just like yesterday, downstairs or upstairs. This is announcement regarding PCR test. And if any of your colleagues are using radios for the translation, please inform them to return them after the empowerment, right after, not to wait, so that they will be able to receive their deposit money. Thank you.